in the gilded corridors of Buckingham Palace, where every smile is measured and every gesture carries the weight of centuries of tradition, an unexpected earthquake has rumbled through the carefully manicured lawns of the British monarchy. The source of this seismic shock is not a foreign dignitary, a political scandal, or a royal rebellion, but rather a woman who has spent nearly 15 years being described by the press as patient, discreet, and the quiet backbone of the Middleton family. Carole Middleton, the 70-year-old former flight attendant turned successful entrepreneur, has made a decision so unforeseen and so deeply personal that it has reportedly left Queen Camilla, a woman who has weathered decades of public scrutiny, in inconsolable tears. To understand the magnitude of this moment, one must first appreciate the silent war that has been waged behind palace doors, a conflict not of loud arguments or public feuds, but of subtle exclusion, unspoken hierarchies, and the painful struggle for a grandmother's place in the lives of her royal grandchildren. For over a decade, Carole Middleton has navigated the treacherous waters of royal life with a grace that many seasoned courtiers lack. She built a successful party supply business, Party Pieces, from her kitchen table, raised 3 grounded children, and watched her eldest daughter, Catherine, ascend to become the future Queen of England. Yet sources close to the family have long whispered that Carole's journey has been far from the fairy tale often portrayed in glossy magazines. From the very beginning, there was an unspoken friction between the self-made Middletons and the aristocratic tradition-bound institution Carole's daughter was marrying into. While the public saw warm smiles at the 2011 wedding, insiders describe a different reality, one where Carole's suggestions for the reception were politely ignored, where her offers to help with royal tours were declined with frosty efficiency, and where she was often treated as a guest in her own daughter's life rather than a matriarch. The tension, however, was never about class alone. It was about influence. Queen Camilla, who herself endured a long and difficult path to public acceptance, has, since becoming queen consort and now queen, developed a fierce protectiveness over the crown's image and internal hierarchy. According to palace insiders, who spoke under condition of anonymity, Camilla viewed Carole's growing popularity with a wary eye. While the late Queen Elizabeth II saw Carole as a stabilizing, modern influence on a stuffy institution, Camilla reportedly saw a woman who was too involved, too common, and dangerously adept at shaping public opinion through her close-knit family connections. The birth of Prince George in 2013, followed by Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis, became the battlefield. Carole, a hands-on mother who raised her own children without nannies, desperately wanted to be the present, doting grandmother. She envisioned sleepovers at the Middletons' Berkshire estate, baking sessions, and the normal chaos of family life. The palace, with Camilla's quiet endorsement, envisioned Norland-trained nannies, rigid schedules, and a clear demarcation between the Cambridge family and the Middleton relatives. The breaking point, according to a detailed account from a former royal aide, came not during a major state event, but during a private family gathering at Anmer Hall in Norfolk in the spring of 2024. The conversation turned to the education of Prince George. Carole, drawing on her own successful experience, sending her children to Marlborough College, gently suggested that a co-educational environment might offer a more balanced social development than the traditional all-boys route of schools like Ludgrove or Eton, which William had attended. While the conversation seemed amicable at the table, the aftermath was anything but. Within days, a strict protocol was reportedly issued, not in writing, but through the hushed network of royal staff. Educational decisions for the Wales children were to be made exclusively by the Prince and Princess of Wales in consultation with the King and Queen. And parents, the message was clear, were to be seen and not heard. It was this precise moment of quiet clinical exclusion that lit a fire in Carole Middleton that had never been there before. For years, she had accepted the cold shoulders, the last-minute cancellations of visits, and the palpable sense that she was being pushed to the periphery. But the suggestion that she could not even offer a loving opinion about her grandson's future was a step too far. Carole did not complain to the press. She did not confront Camilla in a dramatic scene. Instead, she did something far more devastating. She began to plan. And her plan, which culminated in an unexpected decision in the late autumn of 2024, is what has left Queen Camilla reeling and the monarchy scrambling to contain the fallout. Carole's decision was not to leak a scandal or write a tell-all memoir, as many royal commentators might have predicted. It was far more surgical and, in the context of royal power, far more damaging. Carole Middleton decided to weaponize her ordinariness. She decided to become a public voice for the millions of British grandparents who feel sidelined by the modern pressures of life, and she chose the most powerful platform imaginable, a landmark interview with a major British broadcaster, scheduled to air just before the King's official birthday parade, trooping the colour. This was her unexpected decision. After 15 years of disciplined silence, Carole Middleton was going to speak. She was going to tell her story, not of royal scandal, but of quiet heartbreak, of birthdays missed because of protocol, of Christmases spent alone while her grandchildren posed for photographs at Sandringham, of the slow, painful realization that her daughter, the future queen, was being isolated from her own family by the very institution that claimed to value family above all else. When Queen Camilla learned of this plan through Panic Palace aides in early December, the reaction was not one of anger, but of profound, uncharacteristic shock. According to a source who was present in the Queen's private sitting room at Clarence House, Camilla did not shout or rage. Instead, she sat in silence for a long moment, her teacup trembling in her saucer, and then the tears came. They were not performative tears, but the genuine fearful weeping of a woman who understands the mechanics of public opinion better than anyone. Camilla knows that the British monarchy survives on mystique. It survives on the unspoken rule that one does not air grievances in public. If Carole Middleton, the epitome of middle-class dignity and restraint, breaks that rule, the dam of silence that protects the royal family could shatter. The Queen was not crying out of guilt or empathy. She was crying because she saw, in that instant, the potential end of the carefully constructed wall that separates the Crown's private failings from the public's forgiving eye. The tears also stemmed from a place of personal history. Camilla has spent over 2 decades fighting for her own legitimacy. She knows what it is like to be the villain in the public narrative. The idea of another woman, especially one as beloved as Carole Middleton, stepping into the spotlight to paint a picture of a cold, exclusionary monarchy orchestrated by Camilla herself, is a nightmare scenario. It resurrects the ghost of the Duchess of Cornwall versus Diana narrative, but with a twist this time. The antagonist is not a glamorous young princess, but a relatable grandmother. Camilla understands that the public's sympathy would likely flow overwhelmingly toward Carole, a woman who worked for British Airways and built a business from scratch, rather than toward a queen born into aristocracy. The tears were the physical manifestation of a political and emotional checkmate. What makes Carole's decision so brilliant and so terrifying to the palace is its authenticity. The reference material she has prepared for the interview is not based on tabloid gossip or palace leaks. It is based on her own lived experience emails arranging visits that were ignored, calendars showing months between sightings of her grandchildren, and the testimony of her own daughter, Catherine, who has reportedly been torn between her duty to the crown and her love for her parents. According to a close family friend, Carole's decision was made with Catherine's quiet blessing. The Princess of Wales, who has faced her own health battles and public pressures, is said to be exhausted by the constant struggle to balance her royal role with her identity as a Middleton daughter. She has watched her mother endure years of subtle cruelty with stoic silence. When Carole finally proposed breaking that silence, Catherine did not object. She is said to have simply told her mother, "Tell the truth. The people will understand." This familial solidarity is the final nail in the coffin for Camilla's hopes of containing the situation. For years, the palace strategy was to divide and conquer, to keep Catherine so busy with royal duties that she had little energy left to advocate for her birth family. But the Princess of Wales has grown into her power. She is no longer the timid, weighty Katie of the tabloids. She is the future queen, and she is choosing her mother's side. In recent weeks, sharp-eyed royal watchers have noted that Catherine has been subtly but unmistakably distancing herself from Camilla's inner circle. She has declined joint engagements, chosen to spend more private weekends with the Middletons rather than at royal estates, and has even been seen arriving at palace meetings with Carole's notes tucked into her official clutch bag. The power dynamic is shifting, and the woman who once sold party favors is now setting the terms. As the date for Carole's proposed interview approaches, the palace is in a state of near paralysis. King Charles, ever the pragmatist, is said to be desperately trying to broker a peace. He understands that a public feud between the Queen and his daughter-in-law's mother would be catastrophic, not just for Camilla's reputation, but for the stability of the crown itself. Offers have been made, unprecedented concessions are being discussed, guaranteed uninterrupted time for Carole with her grandchildren at Balmoral, a formal recognition of the Middleton family's role in royal events, and even a private apology from Camilla herself. But Carole, after years of being dismissed, is no longer interested in scraps from the royal table. Her unexpected decision has already been made. She has already won. Because even if she never gives that interview, the threat of it has already changed the balance of power. Queen Camilla has been reduced to tears not by an attack, but by the simple, terrifying realization that the woman she tried to erase from the royal narrative has now become the author of the next chapter. The tweeds of a queen have washed away the last pretense of invincibility, and in their place stands a grandmother who finally decided that silence was no longer golden.